the Wash-Bailey family. It all started in 1819 with the birth of Washington Bailey in Troup County, Georgia. Before I go into details on his life, here's a quick overview on how Washington led to Benjamin. As I said, Wash Bailey was born in 1819. He had many kids, including Willie Bailey. Willie Bailey had a son named Eddie Bailey, along with others. Eddie Bailey was the father of Emma Bailey. Emma Bailey married Willie Crawford, became Emma Crawford, and gave birth to Lou Jean Crawford. Lou Jean then married Arthur Harris Sr., became Lou Jean Harris, and gave birth to Cassandra Harris. Cassandra Harris married Stephen Starks and gave birth to an absolute stud named Ben Starks. Well, Benjamin Starks, and that's me. What we know about Washington mainly comes from family stories like this one. In this particular case, his grandson, Willie Bailey III, wrote down everything he knew about Washington. Since I'm a little too young to even fully know these stories, I will leave it to cousin Christine Abrams to explain Wash Bailey to you guys. She's my grandmother, Lou Jean's first cousin.
Well, as far as knowing myself, I just know the different things that I've been told down through the years. I know that he was born in 1819 and died in 1909, and he had 3 wives. The first wife, he came to Eatonton from LaGrange. That first wife remained in LaGrange. We don't know if she was a slave or not, because he was born during the period of slave. But he married another lady when he came to Eatonton, and they had 13 children. And then when she passed, he married another woman. She had 1 child, so he had 14 children here. And we know about at least 2 more he had in LaGrange, because in the early 1900s, they came to Putnam County to see him. And the name was Wilbert and George. Now, what happened to them, I don't know, and we don't know. We have not been able to actually research and go back and find that part.
Here are some more facts about Wash Bailey. He definitely had plenty of kids. George, Wilbur, Maddie, Willie, my direct ancestor, Carrie, Edmund, Fanny, Dora, Morris, Solomon, Adeline, Ellen, Lucinda, Zedric, Johnny, Reuben, Henrietta, and Inez. He was also a skilled blacksmith. In the Plaza Art Center in Eatonton today, there's a metal fish that Wash Bailey made back in the 1840s. It used to be the weather vane positioned on top of the factory smokestack on the Denham plantation. There's also this following piece of information about his heritage.
We don't truly know what his parentage was, but according to what everybody's been told, that he was the product of plantation owner and an Indian. Okay. And he was a fairly large man, and they said double jointed, even though I don't know what that means. He was a large person, very strong. And they said he could take a piece of iron and make anything you wanted out of it. And he was a blacksmith.
They thought he was Indian because he had high cheekbones.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I had to do research on that for like my project, and it turns out like where he was born in Troup, Georgia, that used to be like Creek Indian land.
Okay.
Right before he was born, like 5 years before he was born, it was all like Creek Indian, and then like the white settlers came in right before he was born.
Okay, so we got Indian.
Yeah, that's what they could never establish that whether it was true or not.
Washington Bailey passed away May 13, 1909 at the age of 90. He is buried in Eatonton at Bethel AME Church alongside many other relatives and friends. According to cousin Eddie Dennis, the man you saw earlier, Bethel AME is currently owned by the Bailey family. On to Willie Bailey Sr. Willie was born in 1865 in Eatonton as well. He had 5 children, twins Eddie and Effie, Christine, Willie Jr., and Charlie. Unfortunately, not much is known about Willie Sr., because he was killed at a young age in 1896 while breeding a horse for the Denham plantation. His wife died a year later, leaving 5 children orphaned. At least Eddie, Effie, and Christine were raised by Willie's brother Morris. That's according to census records. Let's now move on to Willie's son Eddie, my great-great-grandfather. Eddie was born in 1890 in Eatonton, and he's a twin of Effie Bailey. Eddie married Celia Garrett and had 8 kids: Solomon, Lucinda, Alonzo, Emma, my great-grandmother, Elizabeth, James, George, and Charlie. Here is Jesse Porter, Eddie's son-in-law and Elizabeth's husband, talking about Eddie. And then you'll hear from Christine Abrams, Eddie's granddaughter and Lucinda's daughter.
Well, first of all, he was farmer.
Right.
And they go from place to place. And next, they went to milk dairy. And that's why he ended up right there.
Oh, really?
He made all his years there.
Yeah.
And he retired. All right. That's the Bailey family.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a lot of them, but I had to look it up. There's a lot.
Yeah, there's a ton of Baileys.
That's right.
Over there.
Yeah.
He had a nickname,
Yeah, Buck, that's right.
Buck. Do you know why he was called Buck?
No, that's just a nickname. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
He was a family man, a good provider, and always was. And one thing I remember specifically, my mom was trying to teach me to plait hair, and I could never get it right. He came down to Mama's house. We always lived pretty close to him. And he came down to the house, and I was crying. He says, "Sis, what's the matter with that gal?" She told him she can't learn how to plait hair, just can't get her to do it. He said, "Come on, go with me." He carried me to his house, took 3 pieces of twine and nailed them together on top of one another like that, and made 3 strings. And he took those 3 strings. He said, "You do it like this, and then you do it like that." That's why I plait underhanded, because that's what he taught me. He taught me to plait hair with 3 pieces of twine nailed to the smokehouse. Yeah.
Eddie Bailey passed away in 1974. He is also buried in Bethel AME Cemetery next to his wife and close to his grandfather. Now we're moving on to relatives that I've actually met. Emma Bailey, aka Aunt Honey, is my great-grandmother. I have some vague memories of her. She also grew up in Eatonton and raised her children there as well. Her children are Lou Jean, who's my grandmother, Eddie, Alex, Willie, and Larry. Her husband, Willie Crawford, also known as Big Daddy, built their home with his own hands. My mother and her cousins always have plenty of stories about growing up around their granny and Big Daddy. Emma passed away in 2006 when I was 7 years old. We are now at her daughter and my grandmother, Lou Jean Harris. Lou Jean was born in 1941 in Eatonton as well. Her generation seems to be the first generation of Baileys to have many relatives move away. Here's her and her brother, Eddie Crawford, talking about their decision to move from Eatonton, even though Ed moved back later.
I had I guess you would say mixed emotions about moving. I wanted to travel, and I was really a child that had not been away from my parents a lot, and I had mixed emotions about that, but I soon adjusted to it, and I had no problem getting used to being away from home. We kept in touch. I kept in touch with my parents, so I didn't have any sad moments about it.
I went to Atlanta when I finished high school.
Okay. And why'd you move away?
With no jobs. Black people couldn't find no jobs around here in the 60s. Finished school in 1960, and I moved away. Then I, went in the service in 1963.
Okay. Were you stationed anywhere? Were you stationed anywhere in the service?
Oh yeah, I was stationed in Swabaugh, Germany.
Okay.
Yeah, I stayed there for 18 months.
Okay. When did you move back to Putnam County?
I don't know, but I've been here 50 years.
50 years? Okay.
I moved back I've been back here 50 years.
Okay. And when you were away from Putnam, did you miss it?
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. What did you miss about it?
It was home.
All the family.
Yeah, I miss my family folk.
Mm-hmm. What made you decide to move away from Eatonton?
Following a man. I met Roosevelt Abrams in high school, and we dated until after I finished high school. Then I got married, and I had my first baby, and when she was 4 months old, he got a job in Macon. And he, instead of driving from Macon back to Eatonton every day, we moved to Macon, and I've been here ever since.
Have you ever wanted to move back to Eatonton once you left?
Not really. I mean, if I had to go back, I wouldn't mind it. But I've never wanted to move back. I've always had a pretty decent job. And I hung around where the job was. And me and China have been together most of our lives, my sister.
Now we are at present day. Lugene had 3 children, Cassandra, my mother, Arthur Jr., and Michelle. Cassandra married Stephen Starks and proceeded to have 3 boys, Foster, the eldest, myself, and my little brother Mitchell. Arthur had a son named Brandon. Michelle unfortunately passed away at a young age. We are all separate but still close, with the Starks clan living in Florida and the Harrises still living in Georgia. So there you have it. This is the story of how Washington Bailey set up a great life for all his descendants, from Washington all the way down to Benjamin.